She says she wants peace, a man who listens, a love that's stable, predictable, safe. But when she finally finds it, something feels off. Because deep down, peace doesn't excite her. It confuses her. She can't explain it, but something about stability feels like silence. Something about calmness feels like distance. Something about consistency feels like boredom. See, peace is what she says she wants, but chaos is what she understands. Her emotions were raised in turbulence, drama, attention, adrenaline. That's what feels alive to her. When a man doesn't argue back, she calls him cold. When he doesn't chase, she calls him distant. When he doesn't react, she says he doesn't care. But the truth is, he's doing everything right. She's just not used to right feeling this quiet, because peace doesn't spike dopamine. It doesn't demand control. It doesn't feed ego. Peace is steady, and steady doesn't give her the high she's grown addicted to. She's used to love that feels like a storm, not a sanctuary. So when she meets a man who isn't fighting, who isn't playing games, who isn't falling for her emotional tests, her brain starts whispering, something's missing. And that's when the self-sabotage begins. She'll start testing him. Not because she wants to lose him, but because she needs to feel again. She'll provoke him just to see if he'll break his calm. She'll pull away just to see if he'll chase. She'll start arguments just to create emotion in the stillness she can't sit in. Because chaos, to her, feels like connection. Peace feels like distance. What she doesn't realize is that peace was never the problem. Her definition of love was, she was taught to believe that love should always feel intense, that passion comes from pain, that if it's calm, it must be cold. But calm isn't cold. It's control. It's maturity. It's what love looks like when it's healed. And she doesn't know how to handle that. So she calls him boring. She tells herself she's just not feeling it. And she leaves, searching for the next spark, the next chase, the next emotional high that reminds her she's still desirable. But what she's really searching for is something peace already gave her. She just wasn't ready to receive it. Because peace doesn't feel like love until you've healed enough to stop mistaking chaos for connection. She doesn't know it, but she's addicted. Not to love, not to connection, to chaos. Not because she wants drama, but because drama is what taught her she mattered. From the time she was young, she learned that emotion equals attention. The louder she cried, the quicker people responded. The more unpredictable she became, the more she was noticed. So now, in love, calm feels like invisibility. Peace feels like being forgotten. She's not trying to destroy stability. She just doesn't recognize it as love, because her entire emotional history was built on reaction, not reflection. When a man doesn't argue, her mind panics. When he stays grounded, her emotions spiral. Not because he's wrong, but because her nervous system was never taught how to feel safe without chaos. She confuses peace with emptiness and silence with rejection. And so she starts creating the storms that make her feel alive. It starts small. A sarcastic comment, a test, a cold response to see if he'll chase. If he does, she feels validated. If he doesn't, she feels abandoned. Either way, she gets an emotional high, a hit of intensity, a sense of control. That's not love, that's addiction. See, chaos gives her something peace never can, certainty through conflict. When there's drama, she knows where she stands. She knows what role to play. The victim, the fixer, the one who's misunderstood. Peace offers her no script, no control, just stillness. And stillness terrifies her. Because in stillness, there's no distraction from herself. She was taught that being wanted is the same as being loved. But they're not the same. Being wanted feeds the ego. Being loved confronts the soul. And confrontation, emotional vulnerability, feels too raw. So she runs back to the noise, the text full of tension, the arguments that make her heart race, the push and pull that keeps her interested. Because peace doesn't make her feel desired, it makes her feel unseen. And that's why calm men confuse her. They don't give her chaos to survive on. They don't reward emotional outbursts. They don't play into the script she's memorized. He's too centered, too patient, too unmoved. And to a woman addicted to emotional spikes, that feels like rejection. But it's not rejection. It's maturity. The kind of maturity she won't appreciate until she's exhausted from chasing highs that never led her home. Because chaos will always feel like passion to someone who's never known peace. But one day, when the thrill fades and the loneliness sets in, she'll realize the truth. It wasn't that peace was boring. It was that she was addicted to pain. She says she wants a healthy relationship, but everything she calls love was born in chaos. The kind that hurts but feels too good to let go. She calls it chemistry. But it's not chemistry, it's conditioning. See, from the beginning, she was taught that love should feel intense. Movies, music, social media. They all told her the same lie. That the louder it is, the more real it must be. Breakups, makeups, jealousy, fights, all of it sold to her as passion. And over time, she began to believe that peace wasn't love. It was boredom. That calm meant the spark was gone. That emotional stability meant indifference. That safety meant stagnation. So when she meets a man who doesn't argue, she thinks he doesn't care. When he doesn't chase, she thinks he's losing interest. When he doesn't get jealous, she thinks he's not invested. Because her idea of love was built on imbalance. She's been programmed to crave the roller coaster, not the rhythm. She'll say she wants maturity. But maturity isn't emotional fireworks, it's emotional control. And control doesn't feed her excitement. She's not attracted to peace, because peace doesn't validate her insecurities. The man who argues gives her proof that she matters. The man who chases gives her evidence that she's desired. The man who reacts gives her reassurance that she still has power. But the man who stays calm, he gives her reflection. And that's the one thing she's been running from. She's been taught to mistake comfort for connection and tension for desire. That's why the relationships that drain her are the ones she calls real. And the ones that could heal her feel off. Because chaos gives her what peace doesn't. A feeling. Even if that feeling destroys her. When she says, "I miss how things used to feel," what she really means is, I miss the rush. The anxiety. The constant wondering. The dopamine disguised as desire. She misses the pain because the pain made her feel alive. That's what heartbreak has done. It made the abnormal feel normal. It made the unhealthy feel exciting. It made the wrong kind of love feel like the only kind worth chasing. And so she runs from peace, not because it's wrong, but because it doesn't fit the script. Peace doesn't beg. Peace doesn't chase. Peace doesn't entertain chaos. Peace simply stays still. And stillness reveals everything she's been trying to distract herself from. That's the tragedy of the modern woman. She doesn't realize that the very thing she keeps calling boring is the only thing that could save her. Because love isn't supposed to feel like adrenaline. It's supposed to feel like home. Peace isn't quiet to her. It's loud. Loud with thoughts. Loud with insecurities. Loud with the voice she's been trying to silence for years. When the noise stops, the truth gets louder. And that's why she fears stillness. Stillness doesn't give her anything to fix. It doesn't feed her ego. Doesn't validate her worth through conflict. Stillness just mirrors her back to herself. And for someone who's built her identity on external attention, that reflection can feel unbearable. When there's chaos, she doesn't have to face her emptiness. She can point fingers, blame the man, blame the situation, blame timing. But in stillness, there's no one left to blame. Just her doubts, her loneliness, her unhealed pieces. The parts she's been covering up with noise, narratives, and self-love quotes that were really just distractions. Peace doesn't give her the constant high she's addicted to. It gives her withdrawal. Withdrawal from attention, from drama, from the validation that chaos used to deliver. And when that withdrawal sets in, she confuses it for unhappiness. She starts saying things like, I don't feel the same anymore. I just need space. I don't know what's missing. What's missing isn't excitement, it's noise. She's mistaking emotional detox for disconnection. Because stillness doesn't numb you, it wakes you up. It forces you to see what your distractions were hiding. The friendships that weren't real. The validation that never lasted. The love that wasn't love, just attention in disguise. And when she realizes that, peace stops feeling like comfort and starts feeling like exposure. That's why she pushes calm men away. They don't trigger her insecurities. They reveal them. Their silence isn't rejection, it's reflection. When a man is calm, he becomes a mirror. And when she looks into that mirror, she sees the parts of herself that chaos helped her avoid. And instead of healing, she runs. Back to the familiar noise. Back to the men who keep her guessing. Back to the cycle that destroys her, but at least keeps her distracted. Because peace doesn't require a reaction. It requires growth. And growth feels lonely at first. It feels quiet. It feels like losing who you were before you become who you're meant to be. But most people never stay long enough to find out. They leave the stillness before it turns into strength. That's the tragedy. She calls peace boring because she doesn't recognize what it's doing for her. It's not killing her spark. It's cleansing her soul. But to see that, she'd have to stop running and start listening. And most can't handle that kind of silence. He never raised his voice. He never needed to. His presence was enough. His tone was steady. His energy centered. He wasn't trying to control her. He was trying to protect her. Protect the connection. Protect the peace. But in her world, calm didn't feel safe. It felt suspicious. She mistook his silence for disinterest, his patience for weakness, his steadiness for a lack of passion. She wanted reassurance through reaction, and he wouldn't give it. He wouldn't chase after every emotion. He wouldn't match her chaos. He refused to let her storms pull him under. And that's when she started drifting away, confusing his emotional control for emotional distance. Because peace to her didn't feel like love. It felt like absence. She didn't realize that his restraint was proof of care, not the lack of it. He could have shouted. He could have argued. He could have mirrored her volatility just to prove that he felt something. But he didn't. He understood something deeper, that love isn't validated through volume. It's proven through composure. He knew that every argument was a trap for both of them, a test he didn't need to take. Because men who truly know peace don't trade it for temporary control. They'd rather lose the argument than lose their center. But to her, that restraint looked like indifference. She couldn't see the love in his quiet, only the lack of noise. He watched her start to pull away, not out of anger, but confusion. She started searching for the spark, the tension, the emotional roller coaster that made her feel alive in past relationships. But what she called excitement was just anxiety dressed as love. And what she called boredom was really the absence of drama. He was offering her peace, and she was rejecting it because she didn't know how to receive it. That's the calm man's dilemma. When he's toxic, he's exciting. When he's healthy, he's too boring. When he reacts, he's passionate. When he doesn't, he's emotionally unavailable. No matter what he does, his peace gets mistaken for distance. And eventually, He learns to stop explaining himself altogether. He doesn't hate her. He just accepts her truth, that she's not ready for calm. She doesn't crave peace. She craves the attention that chaos brings. So he steps back. Not to punish her, not to prove a point, but to protect his energy. Because a man who's learned peace knows this. You can't save someone who mistakes healing for boredom. You can only leave quietly and let them learn that storms aren't romantic once you've tasted stillness. It always hits her later. Never in the moment. Always after the storm. When the noise fades. When the calls stop. When the attention dries up. That's when it hits. Not as guilt, but as clarity. She looks back at the man she called boring. The one who never raised his voice. Who didn't play games. Who stayed grounded while she kept trying to stir chaos just to feel alive. She remembers his calm. How safe it felt, even when she didn't know how to appreciate it. And she realizes he wasn't boring. He was peaceful. She just didn't know the difference. See, chaos makes you feel wanted. Peace makes you feel worthy. But worthiness is quiet. And quiet scared her. She thought love had to be dramatic, messy, consuming. That passion only existed through pain. But he was teaching her something else. That love doesn't have to hurt to be real. She just wasn't ready to listen. Now, she's surrounded by the same energy she used to chase. The men who talk fast disappear faster. The endless games. The same cycle. New faces. Same endings. And for the first time, it doesn't feel exciting anymore. It feels empty. Because once you've tasted peace, chaos stops tasting like passion. It starts tasting like poison. She scrolls through his page sometimes. He looks different now. Not colder, just freer. His eyes don't carry that tension anymore. His posture doesn't hold weight. He looks like a man who's found something she still hasn't. Peace. And that's what hurts most. Because she realizes now, peace wasn't the absence of emotion. It was the presence of security. He didn't stop caring. He just stopped needing chaos to prove it. That's the lesson most never learn. That peace feels uncomfortable when you've only known anxiety. That healthy love feels slow when you're addicted to chase. That the man who doesn't argue isn't cold. He's healed. And the woman who mistakes peace for boredom will always call calm men dull until life teaches her that noise isn't connection. It's distraction. By the time she learns, it's too late. He's gone. Not bitter, not broken, just better. And she'll spend her nights replaying the moments she once dismissed, realizing that boredom was never the problem. Her restlessness was. Because peace never left her life. She walked away from it. And when she finally understands that, she'll know the truth. The calm man wasn't her mistake. He was her lesson, and some lessons don't come back.